What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie livestream. My name is Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you, as always, to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat so you can get the nice crew welcome. And if you want, you can subscribe. I help beginner to medium creators get the most out of the gear so they don't spend or overspend on hype and actually get the most out of it. That's why I always say upgrade your skills before your gear. And the tradition that we have around here that we always do is to go ahead and check out to see who were the first junkies hanging out in the chat. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, is highly appreciated. All right. And right off the bat, we got Randy here saying hello, everyone. What's up, Randy? We also got Gretchen here saying hi to the crew. We also have Paul saying greetings. We have Scott Rogers in the house saying hello to the crew. Everybody's so friendly saying what's up to each other. All right. Well, that is it. A couple of things, I guess, house cleaning things that I just want to mention before anything. I am still running the adopters, right? Early adopters for Momentum, which is my cleanup application. So if you haven't heard about it, do I have a screen ready for that? Well, an update on it. Momentum Lite should be up and running by Monday on the App Store. So fingers crossed. I think we jumped through all the hoops that Apple's been asking for that application, and then that one will be available on the App Store. But that's the light version. It's watered down, but the full version is available at momentum.mrcamerajunkie.com. You know what? Let me go ahead and put it in. And like I was saying, there's an early adopters fee, a discount, not fee. Look at me. Early adopters discount of 20%. So it's $25 if you want to pick it up. But the cool part is that you can download it for free. And I give a 14-day free trial so that you can, test it out and let me know what you think of the application before you're committed to pay anything. No credit card needed. And that's my Momentum Pro application. So let me go ahead and put that into the chat. Boom. Make sure I spelled it correctly. I did, so that should be working. And like I said, yeah, you can go ahead and check it out, download it for free, and try it out for a couple of weeks and let me know what you think. Another thing that I did, if you haven't recognized, is that I made an anamorphic app. And this application is what allows you to use anamorphic lenses like I'm using right now. So right now I got extra real estate here on the sides because I'm using the Blazer Beetle 1.33 anamorphic squeeze, and I'm using it on my Sony A7R II, and that's where the app comes in. My Sony A7R it's much older camera, and it's not equipped with de-squeezing features for anamorphic lenses, so it would be designated to only post-production until now. With my application, it allows you to get all of the real estate out of the lens, and you can use it for live productions, including live streams like I'm showing right now. So that app is available on the App Store, and I'm also glad to say that it's even easier to find now. So now all you have to do is search MCJ, like Mr. Camera Junkie, and I'm up to the top of the list. The only thing is sometimes it'll jump to the iPhone apps. Just make sure that you're on Mac apps and you can't miss it. I'm the first one there, so whether you type in anamorphic, MCJ, or NDI, you'll be able to find that application easily on the App Store. So that's something that's super cool, and we're working our way up in the anamorphic app, and more people are starting to see it, so I'm excited about that as well. So let's go ahead and check this out. Says early but shot in the dark. Me too, above your head, sitting sideways next to the Funko bobblehead box. Well, let's go ahead and check it out. Where is the Funko? Up here? And that's gonna be a no, Gretchen. That is not where the meat suit is at. I could even show you. This is actually a old souvenir. The box got busted up a little bit, but let me go to my overhead here. Did it go to the overhead? Overhead? There we go. From my Disney days. That music's still a bit loud. This is a Vinylmations, right? VM. This was like a Funko Pop, but Disney's own version of it. They did this years ago. I think this is not even a thing anymore. And that was when the movie Tron was all in its hype. Now, through the moving of quite a few places, the box, like plastic right here, took a bit of damage. It got exposed, but it's untouched, unopened, an original Disney Tron. And this was one of the more sought out ones, the Dark Tron. I'm not sure if that's, I think that's coming better. That's coming better right now. So that's what's up there next to my Mac Mini box and my DJ Khaled Funko Pop. Right? Boop, boop. And we continue. All right, let me see. Andy VZ, Andy Visuals. Hola, saludos desde Venezuela. ¿Cómo comparado el Nikon Z6 II al Sony A7 III? ¿Cuál crees que es mejor? Puede responder en inglés. All right, now I need to translate that so that all of you who don't speak Spanish could understand. He's just saying, hey, just saying hi from Venezuela. I'm comparing the Nikon Z6 II versus the Sony A7 III. Which one do you think is better? And that I could respond in English. And my response, I would have to say the A7 III, right? The A7 III is a good camera, but there are still a lot of limitations on that camera. If I remember correctly, and I stand to be corrected, but that one still even has a video limitation of 2959, right? Like that one's still considered more a photography based camera. Now it shoots 4K, so it's got a great image, but it also depends on the price of like what you're getting. If you're just looking for more features in a camera, then I would have to lean towards the Nikon. The Z6 II is got a lot more features, and I think it's more feature-packed camera compared to the A7 III. If it's for price and budget, you might be leaning towards the A7 III because those are being found pretty inexpensively right now on the used market. I would check MPB, KEH, and a variety of different places, maybe even B&H, because I think they have a used department as well. So there's a lot of options there. So that's exactly what I would say. But at the end of the day, Brandon Washington was just talking about it yesterday, and I have to concur, something that I've said for a long time. I would say glass before ass. Camera optics are more important than the camera bodies, and that's like falling into that same, saying of you marry the glass and you date the bodies, because the technology is always going to be changing, especially now with cameras themselves being like a completely different form of film stock. And I guess that's just the way that I see them. So the only thing that's going to persist throughout the time is going to be the lenses that you use it with. So when it comes to the ecosystem, even though I love my Sony cameras, right now Nikon has kind of the leg up as well with the Z mount, because you're not limited to that glass, so to speak. Like all my Sony lenses I can use on my Nikon cameras because the Z to EF adapter, right? Or E mount adapter. So the Z to E adapter that allows me to basically use my entire repertoire of lenses on my Nikon cameras, and they're really good. Plus, Nikon is coming out with their own lenses that are keeping up with this, like the lens that we're going to be talking about tonight, this 35 millimeter f1.4, which is a kit lens that comes with the Nikon ZR. And like, I'm really impressed. I've been using the 50 millimeter f1.4 prior to it, and they're both very, very good lenses. And to be considered a kit lens, I'm like, this could really set you up in a good path, and especially with the full frame. So there's not a crop factor that we're dealing with. And like I said, with a simple adapter, I'm able to now utilize all my Sony lenses. The reason why I say this is because that's something that I loved about my Sony cameras when I moved over into those body styles, because I came from Canon. So I had been hearing all the hype about the Sony cameras, and I had my Nikon my Canon cameras, and I had my Canon glass, and I was like happy with my photography, right? And the video was 720, but you know, like, I can work with it. And the hype came around, and I've told this story before, but I'm gonna try to truncate it as best as possible. But I had been hearing all the hype about the Sony cameras, and this was when the A6000 was coming around, which really started making the bigger impact. Like, I have the NEX6, which is like a version just prior to the 6000, and I can see the limitations in that camera. Plus, like, the software and the hardware was not optimized to get like really good battery life. So all the bad negative talk back in the day, in the, you know, in the mid teens, you know, was when these cameras were not keeping up with the other DSLRs because of the time that you would actually get to use it. And for you to use a mirrorless camera back then, you would have to carry a bunch of batteries. So like, people didn't see the benefit towards that compared to what they were using with their DSLRs, which one battery or maybe two could shoot photography for an entire event all day. Now, when the A6000 came around, I said I was going to try to make this short, and then I just go on a soliloquy. Apologies. So A6000 was all the hype, but I didn't jump into it. I'm just fortunate enough that I'm a tinkerer, right? And that I take electronics apart, and I fixed iPhones, and I have, you know, that kind of background. So while I was running around fixing iPhones and driving around all of South Florida, I got hooked on the application OfferUp. And whenever I would stop somewhere that I wasn't really accustomed, I would start to see if there was any deals in the area. And if I would get a response, I would like kind of give them a lowball offer on some things, and just try to get the best deal, just because I was in proximity. And I said, like, I have cash in hand, and that allowed me to get a lot of good deals. One of those deals that I found and came up with was a broken Sony A6000. And that's exactly how it was listed. It was broken. I already had other Sony cameras, and they were selling it for like $60 broken. And I lowballed them, or, you know, words, Lewis. I offered them $40. And then I was just thinking, that's the price of another battery of those same, you know, NPF 50s. So that worst case scenario, if I couldn't revive the camera, the A6000, I just basically just paid the same price for a battery. So they accepted my offer, and I picked up the camera for $40. And right away, the curiosity got to me, so I disassembled that camera completely, and I had it up, and I couldn't see anything wrong with it, right? So I put it all back together, and it still gave me the same error. It would turn on, but it would say no memory card found. So I kind of just left it as like, hey, at least I got a battery. I slept on it, and then the next day, like, it hit me. I was like, you know what? I never watched a tutorial. I never watched anything. So I just opened up this camera and it looked like somebody had, honestly, like when I opened it the first time, it looked like somebody opened it. They tried to put it back together and they just did a lousy job of putting things back together. And after that, the memory card no longer worked. So the curiosity got to me and I go, you know what? Let me watch a disassembly video on the YouTube University. And once I did, I saw the error that was there initially, but because I hadn't seen a tutorial, I had no idea that it was wrong. So when I put things back together, I replaced it wrong, incorrectly, once again. And it was basically the cable connection from the camera body itself to the SD card, which was the problem, that it was saying no SD. It was flipped. And because it had the same amount of pins on both sides, it could connect and lock in, but it was upside down, so the information wasn't conveying correctly. I disassembled the camera once I saw the disassembly video. I flipped the cable. Once I put it on there, the camera worked. So I had purchased an A6000 for $40. And that's when I was like, okay, let me go ahead and put the lenses that I had from my NEX5 at that time. And it had like the kit lens onto it, and I threw it on the A6000, and I saw the features, right? I saw the camera that had like all the extra features. I was like, it is feature rich, but the pictures themselves were not doing good because I was shooting with a kit lens. So in one of my many offer up finds, I ended up in Miami one time doing a repair, and I got somebody to sell me the Sony Metabones adapter, the one that goes from E mount to EF for Canon, for $100. And the person accepted. I went and I picked it up, and that's when I was able to start using the glass that I had already been using on my Canon cameras, on my Sony, and the rest was history. Yep. Because of the simple fact that I got good glass, quality glass, onto the Sony, and that made the world of difference. And that's when I started, looking into the better lenses that I could find with Sony. But it only took one photo shoot with my Canon 50mm f1.4. It was a wrap. It wasn't, my f1.4, the gold ring. God, such a great lens. And it still is. That's what I'm saying. If you can get your hands on one, for photography, it's great. For video, it's not so good because those focus motors are loud. But the Metabones adapter I still use till today, and that's where it came to that advantage. Right now, I've gotten rid of most of my Canon lenses, and I only have, majority native Sony lenses. So that fits perfectly for all my Sony cameras, but that's where Nikon has the leg up right now because it can do more than that. See? And this is a newer branded one. And what this does is that it converts all my Nikon cameras to Sony. Just that easy. But today, we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about this guy right here. So this is my Rig Junkie Ultralight kit for the Nikon ZR. I even got the gas pedal on there so that when I put my hand on there, I got that nice thumb rest to even out the weight. On top of that, the more important thing is the piece de resistance, the 35mm. Let me get it there. Nikkor 35mm f1.4. Now this is the kit lens for this camera. I gotta tell you guys, Nikon has always been known for their optics more than their camera bodies. Like, they started with, I believe, if I'm correct, the history of Nikon even goes back to like Japanese military. and how they would be the ones making like the optics for periscopes and for forgot the word that I'm trying to say. It's telephoto something, you know, but like long range visuals, optics. Nikon actually was providing it for the military of Japan, I believe, for a long time. So they've always been great at optics, and I concur. Like, I've never had a problem with any of my old Nikon glass. I still have some old ones over here, some vintage ones. That's a 50 millimeter f1.4 as well. That thing is crazy good. It's like 70 something years old, like 72 or 73 years old. It's crazy how old that lens is, and it still rocks today. But let's go ahead and talk about this guy. Like I said, I'm really impressed with this. I even took it out and I connected it to my Nikon ZFC. So that's a crop sensor camera, but I threw this full frame lens on it, f1.4, and for photography, it has a 1.5 crop. So it effectively was working like around a 52, 54 millimeter, around that range. And man, just impressed with the images. I was actually working on a media kit, a media kit. Yep, to put all of like my information together to start working with brands better, and that's just the next iteration of what I'm getting things going with the channel and myself. But with that being said, really impressed with the photos that I was able to get with this lens, just even for photography. And the thing that really impressed me with this lens is its close focus distancing. Now, this is one of the advantages of just basically all mirrorless cameras, but Nikon is really like putting a really good step forward with these kit lenses, whether it's a 50 millimeter or this 35, because I felt like Gordon Lang. Like, I was all up in the camera. I was all up in this business, literally like I would say 3 inches away, and it was still focusing on my eye. Very, very impressive. And another thing that impressed me was, like I noticed that as well, the close focusing distance with the photography. So for example, I was just shooting around here. Let me see if I could actually pull up that photo. Give me a quick second. Go ahead and go to this shot. I just realized that I'm not on my Mac Studio and that I'm on the Mac Mini. Oh, okay. But I do have the Hagibis connected to it, so I should be able to connect the drive. So let me go back to the overhead. See, I have the Hagibis connected. So if I plug this in, right? Okay. It's been that long I haven't used it. Yes, it's here. Right now, I'm just checking for the images. Let's do it by kind. I'm grabbing all of the images that I shot with it yesterday. Perfect. There we are. Let me go find them now. Let me see. Here. I need to find the scene now where I can share this. Is the edit one available? I think let me see if I'm straightening all of this. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Okay. All right, so these are the images that I took with it. Hopefully I'll be able to scroll. Okay, it looks like it's working. Okay, on the fly. Yep, it's changing on the fly perfectly. Okay, so this is, like I said, I was doing the media kit. So it was, you know, I was conversing with Chad from GPT and I was saying like, I need a shot with all my gear. So I just took this with stuff on my desk. Starting to see which one was the best one. Oh, that's Verticale. Okay, so like I said, all of these shots were shot with the Nikon ZFC and the 35mm. So this is the photography aspect of the camera, and this is the shot that like I was just like really impressed with. Now, it's nothing out of this world, but as a test image, man, does this one really like show the potential of this lens. For example, this was wide open at f1.4, right? Wide open. It focused super sharp on the Insta360 logo, as you can see there. And from the distance between the logo itself, like the plastic that's nice and sharp, to the lens itself on the camera, the millimeters between that to that, it went into bokeh mode. Like it went into the obliteration. As you can see, the focal plane is so shallow. Like as if you look towards the right of the image, right? Just like if you were to follow the bottom line of the camera itself and just follow it, like if it would just go until it goes off the page, that's where you can see the bokeh on the lines of the mouse pad underneath, right? That it has like the topographical lines, so you can see exactly where it goes to the sharpest and when it starts blurring out. So for a test image, this is just amazing. But this is the power of it, because right here this lens is acting like a 50mm lens. So it's, and taking the shot within like 3 inches makes this an amazing almost macro type lens. So with plenty of light, of course you stop it down, you're gonna get all of it in focus. But for a test shot wide open, I was really impressed with this shot. I was just like, wow, this lens, like now look onto the upper right hand side. I guess like we're seeing some just like flaring of lights towards the end of the same topographical mouse pad, but like you'll see the bokeh in there, and it's very nice. It's not onion ringing, right? It's got like nice smooth transitions, like the bubble and the bokeh effect on this lens, like it's. And now I'm also looking at it and I'm like looking for chromatic aberration, and I don't see it, because even this red section towards the right in the middle of the screen, that's actually, is it from this camera? No, It's this Peak Design little flappy thing that I have on the majority of my cameras. So yeah, this shot was like impressive to me. See, now this one is of the lens, and we can say the same thing happens with the logo. It's already like blurring out. Everything else goes into bokeh. Get sharper images. This was stopped down. And then that's of the red with the 18mm. The red camera, man, that thing is weighing a ton right now, but it's definitely coming together. But it was funny because I went to take it off the tripod and I thought I had it. And as soon as like the base got off the tripod, the whole camera just sank out. Like, oh my God. I almost banged it into the tripod itself because it's so heavy. As soon as it's like, you know, airborne, man, forget it. Like it's dropping the weight. Like together, this thing's got to weigh like 12 to 15 pounds right now. I would say even more because my rig that I had for Creator Camp with the FX30 was around 10 pounds with battery and everything. And this thing, the lens is 6.5 pounds by itself. So yeah, I would say definitely closer to the 15-pound area. And if you can see the Nikon ZR on the bottom left-hand corner over here in this image, has a vintage lens on it. It has my, which one? My Vivitar? I believe so. Right, but it's a 28mm f2.8. The reason why is because I took this lens off of this camera, or yeah, this 35mm lens to use it with the ZFC to take this image. So I didn't want to leave it with a body cap. All right, so that's the image. And what we're gonna do now, let me hit this button, bam, is that we're gonna test this out on the fly. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect this onto the tripod over here, which let me go ahead and give you the behind the scenes. I'm gonna place it right here. We're gonna webcam this guy right now on the fly. All right, so let me see how I'm going to do this. Oh, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sacrifice the teleprompter monitor so that I can use that USB-C to connect this camera. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's see if I did that correctly. I just clicked on the ZR. I don't think so. Hold on. This is the whole thing. This camera, I have to, was, well, basically reset. So now, actually, let me turn that off so it's not blue. Boom. Okay. But now let's get into the menu. You're not finding it? Let's see. Okay, now we're locked in. Okay, let's do this together. Overhead view. All right. USB cable going right through the middle. All right, I'm not sure if you guys can see that too well. Right now, I'm just controlling everything here. So what am I doing? Trying to see how to get the USB to go into webcam mode. So I'm going to the network menu, and that's where I'm gonna start. Let's see if we find anything over here. I like to start from the bottom up. MAC address, router frequency, band 2.4, 5G, USB. Okay, I think we found it. USB here. And we need to set it to USB streaming, UVC and UAC. It will set up to MTP or PTP, and that is just to transfer data. So iPhone, very interesting. Very interesting. What is iPhone? It literally has an iPhone option. Oh, my curiosity is peaked right now. I so want to know what that is. Like, can we connect it to an iPhone, and what happens? Can we use that? Can we use this camera like with our iPhones to connect to YouTube and stream with this camera through our phones? If so, that would be amazing, right? To use the 5G network. Let me not get ahead of myself. The other cool thing is, the other cool thing is, like, let's say you can use it as an external monitor, because I actually love using my iPhone 11 Pro, which is sitting in the back, as my camera monitor for my Sony cameras. It is like one of the best features. It does it wirelessly, so you know, if you're not using it for like real time like visuals, and that's the cool thing with Sony, their autofocus is so good and reliable. All you have to do is make sure that the box is still over the face, and so you don't need the highest latency. And if that's okay, then you just need the monitor for framing to make sure that you're getting everything that you want in the shot. Dude, the iPhone is amazing. Like, the iPhone screens are amazing in daylight, which is better than the majority of the camera monitors that you can buy on the market. So using that just right off the bat, you're already heads up when it comes to like the Lux, is it, or the Lux? I think it's Lux with the X. And that's just like the value of light, like, you know, how much lumens is the correct thing. But I think when it comes to screens, they're graded in Lux. So correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. But now that that's there, let's go ahead and reconnect this, right? I did set it up. Nope, I didn't. Going back to it, I got stuck on iPhone. But now let's select USB streaming. I'm doing a bad job of this. Oh, I did select it. Okay. All right. It just still says UVC, UAC. All right. Now, once again, I believe it's in the description. This little remote control for the Nikon cameras is just amazing. Like I said, you can go into the menus, you have complete control of everything in the menu. Plus you can get out of it, you can go check, like, you know, your images, the history, right? Scroll through everything, go back. You can zoom in just to make sure that you're checking focus. And once again, all of this is being done by the remote. And if you want to hit record, of course, that's the easy part, right? Dude, all right. See what you guys. Oh my God, I haven't checked on comments in such a long time. Gretchen saying that she downloaded the app earlier today. Thank you, Gretchen. Once again, let me know what you think of the application. And she loves the words close. All right, hold on. Because I don't have, you know, well, I was already planning on sacrificing the teleprompter. I knew that I was going to be using this screen, so I actually have the comments over here. I'm just not used to it. It says squoze. I'm keeping count. De nada. Carlos Tacos, what's up, everybody? Binoculars made by Nikon as far back as 1917. Thank you. That was the thing that I was like, the things for the phase that allow you to see far. That word escaped me. Thanks, Gretchen. All right. So let's go ahead and let's plug this guy into USB. You know, for producer mode, you're going to select this. Okay. I'm way blown out. The camera over here, so be warned, I'm about to click on it so that I could actually adjust it. What is going on right now? Okay, there's a LUT added to it. Okay, that's there, and brightness is all the way up because I guess this is connected. But now this is all of like the eCam settings zeroed out. Basically just reset. There we are. That's reset. I removed the LUT. Okay. Okay, that looks good. So that's the 35mm f1.4. Right now we are at f4. So that's what's keeping everything within balance, because if not, this is gonna be way too like overexposed. I'm at ISO 800, so I could take that down, even though ISO 800 is its native ISO. But I'm gonna go ahead. Amazing, it has touchscreen. And I'm gonna iterate this again. The only negative of the new 4-inch LCD on the Nikon ZR camera is having to go back to all my Sony cameras with the 3-inch screen. It's like going back to an iPhone 4 when you've been using an iPhone, you know, 16 Pro Max. So, yeah. Let me see what Paul is saying. Something's off with my mic. How long ago was that? That was right now, he's saying. Okay, let me check it. Thank you, Paul. Press microphone. Oh, maybe. Yep. Thank you, Paul. As soon as I connected, let me go ahead and... Okay, so we should be back onto the microphone. Thank you for that. It's been doing that. I gotta check it out to see if maybe that's a new setting within Crisp. But for those of you who don't know, I use Crisp sound deadening software or noise canceling software. It works really well. I love it. But as of late, when I connect something new, it's been using that microphone and using it as a default instead of just staying with what I've already selected. So I think it was, you know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago when I did the video on this guy right here, the Insta360 Go 3. And with that being said, As soon as I connected it via USB, it picked up this as the main microphone and was doing the same thing. So it started using the ZR's microphone, and that's why it sounded weird. So thank you for that. All right, I'm gonna move this comment window over here so I can read it easier. Yep, it says my went wonky and it sounded like it switched mics, because it did. Thank you guys. Actually, you know what? There's still a purple hue around this. Let me change that. I'm gonna change that to white and bring it down to 50%. No. Transparency. Click. There we go. Publish, yes. Okay. So framing, we're doing okay. I could drop it down a bit as far as headroom goes. Oh, we're doing the infinity effect right now. Here, let me see. Yeah, because we're seeing me on the double time. Let me go ahead and switch this a bit over here. There we go. That takes care of that. All right. And like, let's see, like it's doing really good with autofocus. So let's say we're doing a product photography, right? Product showcase. So we always got a smooth transition. Not bad. And I know that I can probably go into the settings right now and probably speed up or even slow that down even more when it comes to it. But right now, this is the image straight out of the camera on the Nikon ZFC with the Nikon Nikkor 35mm f1.4 kit lens. So this is it. And just to give you a couple of other things, my personal opinion when it comes to the Nikon cameras, the vivid, the natural, the like all of the like camera settings, I think sometimes when it comes to video they could be a bit harsh. The one that I prefer is actually the flat profile, so I've actually switched it over to that. And the flat profile, I actually have it with saturation 1 or bumped up just 1, and that's basically how I'm using it. You know what, let me double check. Maybe it changes because of the webcam mode. Actually, I think it did. Yeah, is it showing the difference? Yeah, look at that. Okay. It's got a lot. Okay, so that's the flat. We're gonna add saturation 1. Okay, so saturation is at 2. All right, so let's go back to it. All right. Oh. All right, so now this is flat. Saturation bumped up 2. That actually looks pretty good, even though I still look a bit orange over here in this area. Right? What's my white balance at? We're testing all of this out on the fly. Okay, my white balance is at 56K. We're in full frame, live mode. Nothing's clipping. ISO 400. 180 on the 180 on the shutter angle. I think that's basically all the information, because even like the exposure is dead at 0. So I'm not like one stop or above or negative on this right now. But this is the image straight out of the camera, and I gotta say, that looks really good. Like, to yeah, I can't complain. Like, you don't even have to color grade. Oh, you see, like if I add more saturation, bit of it. Could change a little bit of the tint. And this is on the Ecamm side. Also, I'm looking at the purples over here and the oranges on the wall, right? But me, definitely, I'm like really sharp. And that has to do with the lens, of course. If I wanted to take off some of that sharpness, I just go right into the, you know, the image profile and take that off of the flat profile that we're using right now. But man, this thing is amazing. And another thing that I want to give it up to Nikon, I really gotta give it up to them, is the magic that they put into this camera. Honestly, that it's not overheating in any condition without a fan, passive cooling, and it's working like my A6100, like just no overheating. But it's not APS-C, it doesn't have a fan. Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my FX30 camera. It's got a fan. It makes it amazing, because I see the disparity when I use my A7C Mark II. That camera, I bought this for it. This guy right here, called Iceman, right? Iceman. This thing is like a portable AC unit for the back of your camera. Now, it works amazingly. The only problem is it needs power, so there's nothing native about it. Like, and you have to dedicate a USB-C with enough amperage to deliver that power. Once you do, forget it. It works amazingly. And for example, that I said I want to give it up to Nikon is for the fact, I forgot the microphone's over here. Is for the fact that prior to this camera, I still have on the shelf over there my Nikon Z30. And the Z30 being APS-C in a small, similar compact body with no extra fan, that guy overheats like nobody's business. I was still, let me see if I can find it. Yep, there it is. Running some experiments, because like always, I never stop. So I bought these aluminum heat sinks. They were like $250 on Amazon. And I wanted to see if maybe I could just press this up against the back of the Nikon ZFC to just keep it cool passively without having to connect something that's going to be leaching power off of the battery system. I tried it, no go. It's just a no go. The thing records for about 30, maybe 40 minutes, and then it oversaturates this, passive cooling device, and it overheats and shuts off. And it does it all the time. If I don't have something like this connected to that Nikon Z30, that thing is going to overheat no matter what, and it's gonna shut down. With something like this, it'll run all day, and it's like night and day difference. And somehow, without adding a fan, Nikon ZR right here in full frame is doing what the Nikon Z30 couldn't. It's keeping cool, it's giving no issues. Let me just double check right now. Yep. Okay, so directly via USB-C, we're getting a 1080 image out of this camera. So it's not 4K via USB-C, but it's 1080, it's 30 frames, and it looks great. That's what's important. We're getting a full frame look, straight, one cable, simple connection. Ecamm picks it up right away, so there's no issues like with using it. And like I said, somehow Nikon has figured out Sony's alien tech somehow, and got this camera to keep cool in hot situations. So big ups to Nikon with this camera. The more that I use it, the more that I'm impressed with it. The only negative that I would say honestly with this camera right now is not the lens options, because I have all 170 lenses from Sony available to connect to it, plus the entire repertoire of Nikon Z lenses, both native from Nikon and all the third parties like that I found from TT Artisans and a variety of different manufacturers. But like, oh my god, I lost track of what I was gonna say because there was so many threads running in my head right now. Oh man. Okay, well, I guess that's it. I'm gonna see if it'll come back to me, but as of right now, I'm just like really excited about this Nikon ZR camera. Oh yeah, I was gonna say like the only nitpick that I had for the camera itself is that it's not. It's just this much like off. You understand? But it's not just as fully customizable as my Sony cameras, and that's it. Like, you know, and that's the whole thing. Each camera has its pros and its cons, and this one is just like that Sony really allows you to just change any button to wherever you want, and that's what I love about Sony cameras, because it gives me the ability to set the camera up initially the way that I like it and kind of never have to go to it. The only thing that I really use is like the function button, right, to open up the function menu. And in Nikon, they call their function button or function menu, they call it the I menu, right? So you click the I menu and it's like a quick settings on it, and you're still able to customize that and do that. But like I said, it's just a couple of different things, which is the fact that not all features are available to all of the buttons to be added to customization, and that's the only nitpick. And in all sincerity, I don't think that that's a limitation of the camera itself. That is 100% software. So, you know, fingers crossed. I'm gonna see if maybe there's a way that I could convey that information to Nikon to see if we can make these cameras better. But that would be basically it. Like, other than that, yeah. Oh yeah. And one other thing, a compressed RAW format. Some way that we could actually keep some of these file sizes down, because Red RAW, even though it looks amazing, getting about like an hour of footage for a terabyte of data is not ideal, because it's just not a lot, and it's just gonna eat up your storage. So that's the only thing right now. I'm testing out the H.265, and my initial, you know, opinion right off the bat, people are just complaining about pretty much nothing, right? Saying like, oh, the H.265 is garbage because it's not 422, it's 420, and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but what are your final results with the camera? And the final results, if you expose correctly, and with the new firmware that Nikon came out with, that you actually get to see the red hard line over the waveforms to make sure that you're not clipping. And if you do that, then you're pretty much set as far as your exposure goes. And after that, like, I don't see the big need, right? Like, if this is the way that you're going to use it, this camera is more than capable. And even if you're recording an H.265 4220, right? Or 420. Yeah, because I think it's 422. I don't think, you know, you're missing that much between the 420 and the 422. But I am going to put those to the test. Just compare the H.265 that I'm getting off of this, even compared to the one that I'm getting from the Nikon, or not the Nikon, the Sony FX30. And that's the comparison, because that's another thing. I did convert a couple of the top buttons right away, and one of the buttons, which I found is just going to be the most convenient for me, that I set to button number 1 or 3. I forgot which one it is. Button 1. 1 is the one furthest to the right, is go from FX to crop. So go from full frame to crop frame, and basically changing like all of my lens to that dual like image. So it's just, it works great. And at 10 megapixels, when I crop in, I still haven't been able to notice the difference in the image, because it's almost like a clear image zoom. You're not really doing it, you're just cropping into the image, which is something that you can do in post-production, but you're getting the highest quality of it. So Nikon ZR camera, if you're looking into getting one, I can tell you I recommend this camera. You won't be disappointed. If you're looking to shoot outside of red R3D, then I recommend using it that way. That's the way that I'm going to be using it, and only for the special occasions where I would say like I need to use a red or want to, then that's when I would just convert this into the appropriate codec and make it a red camera. And then once it's a red camera, I know that the workflow is going to be that much more different and is going to consume that much more data. That's it. Like Brandon Talbot, he's been doing a lot of videos on this camera. You know, Talbussy, shout out to you. He got a, I think it's an Angel Bird 4 terabyte card for the camera, and that's how he's able to like get enough footage on it. But you know what a 4 terabyte card on your camera is for video? Then you have to unload 4 terabytes to cull through it, and then you're gonna throw 4 terabytes onto a video editor timeline. That's why I said, like, you really have to know what you're getting yourself into when you're getting into these workflows, because you need to make sure not only that your camera can handle it, but your supporting software and hardware could also handle it as well. Because you don't want to be shooting all in red R3D and then you get onto your computer and it's struggling and chugging along just to get all that frame and information into it so that you can edit it, but your computer's really not up to par because you're still on an Intel something. God forbid. So that's exactly where we're at with this. I couldn't recommend this camera enough. I'm using it more and more, and now that I have the 35mm f1.4, I'm using it even that much more, because I feel like I got both the 35 and the 50mm in one, with the simple press of button number 1 with the crop factor from FX to DX mode. Which is the other one that I have? I've been setting it up, but like that's just the difference. There are limitations. So when it comes to the custom buttons on the Nikon ZR and using it with this lens, I have to go into the menu, then go to set the custom button, select the one that I want to change, and then start cycling through the options that are available, because that's what I said, like it's a little different with Sony than that not every option's available for you to just put them wherever you want. So that's where you have to like go ahead and test the waters on each button to see what's available, and then with those limitations see what would be your best configuration, which is what I'm still working on right now. And one of those configurations is like you're going to be using the I menu the most, right? So putting the like FX to DX on the top buttons allows me to add more of those like more nuanced features to the I menu and not necessarily have the ISO, which was the other one, the ISO, to change it on the top button instead of having to go to the I menu to do so. Because that's one of the conveniences that I love of the Nikon ZFC, which is why I love using it for photography, is that like for whatever reason, if I want to increase the ISO, I really don't even have to take the camera off of my face with my eye in the viewfinder. I can literally just go to the knob and click it up a couple of times till I get to my desired ISO, because of the physical tactile buttons, similar to like my Fuji camera. And that's one of those features that I love of photography. But the ZR, I feel, is more of a video centric camera, even though I found out that it does what is it, like 14 frames per second in burst mode in photography. Now, you might say, big whoop. Actually, I think it's less. I think it might even be 7 frames a second, right, in burst mode. which is really nothing to, you know, to clamor about, so to speak. But that's not what's important. What surprised me with this camera while I was scrolling through the menus and I was checking the camera specs on it is that this camera has pre-capture. It has up to 3 seconds, I believe, of pre-capture. So when it comes to sports and wildlife photography, this guy right here might not be the worst thing that you could actually have, even though it doesn't have a viewfinder, because of that feature. 3 seconds of pre-capture, man. That means you'll be able to like hold off on a bird, right? And as soon as he takes off that you think you don't got the shot, that's when you hit the shutter and you actually have the 3 seconds, right, at 7 frames per second. So that's roughly 21 images that you're gonna have prior to the takeoff of that bird, right? That means that you shouldn't have nailed all of the appropriate shots, and it continues at the 7 frames per second. But the other feature, which, like I said, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I actually think that at that rate, at 7 frames per second, if I was reading the menu correctly, it's like infinite. Like it really doesn't reach the buffer, and the camera will actually be offloading the images faster than it can take it. So that means basically you can get the entirety of the image, whether it's somebody at bat, you know, like somebody kicking a goal, field goal, touchdown. 3 seconds of pre-capture, man, that's like a lifetime when it comes to photography. Like I said, and even at 7 frames a second, that's 21 images that you're getting prior to the action, just because this camera has that option. So that's like super dope. Like, yeah, I can't say anything. The only thing really missing on this camera is a viewfinder. But isn't that what everybody was knocking the FX2 for? But I digress, because I saw some videos that are coming out right now from Sydney Dionson, Chris Brockhurst, who else is out there? And once again, Mr. Brandon Talbot. We're all, I believe, in Yosemite, you know, using Sony FX2s, and they had some good things to say about them, especially with the weather that they were dealing with in that environment. So it goes to show you. But like I said, I've been saying this for a long time. It's basically impossible for you to find a bad camera, right? Something that's really bad, anything made in the last 10 years. And I said that 5 years ago. Imagine now, like any camera 2015 to 2026, bro, you're good. You'll be able to make magic with that camera. Yeah, because I still love the images that I get from my NEX6. And that's a 16 megapixel. Had to be right there to get the pickle word out of there, but no. The 16 megapixel camera that has a Bayer sensor from Sony, I believe, like the array, and is the same one that's used on the Fuji X-T1, right? Yep, the X-T1. So I have two cameras right there. Right, my Nikon. I'm talking all about Nikon. I'm getting all the brands mixed together. My Sony NEX6 and my Fujifilm X-T1 actually have the same exact sensor, and it's one of those sensors that just gives like a very amazing filmic quality, and you get it from both the Nikon and the Sony cameras. Absolutely love it. Except the NEX6, the battery life is trash. It just is. It's the operating system. It's just, it consumes, well, not only the operating system, but the hardware itself, like the computing engine. It just consumes way too much energy for what it does. But it's a good camera. Another thing that I like using it to conserve energy is that I turn off the rear screen altogether and just use the viewfinder when I have it up to the face, so it stays like on standby mode, but it consumes a lot less energy, so it gets the most out of those NPF 50 batteries. But that's it. Okay, I got some comments coming in here. We got Sammy Superstar in the house saying what's up to everybody. How are you doing, Sammy? Thanks for hanging out, brother. We also got Luis Nano Tech for Your Needs in the house saying hello there. Says it comes down to your skills. Nothing is bad nowadays. Exactly, man. It's like you can really, and going back just to touch on it, that Brandon and Jared were talking about, that they're using like much older cameras but with high end optics to it. And you know, once you get the image, especially with photography, right, like you control the shutter speed. So when it comes to like sports and everything like that, like you can crank up the shutter speed. You're outdoors and you got a fast lens on there with a good, you know, aperture. You're gonna be able to snap away at those high speeds and get nice, high quality images, even if it's a $300 camera body. It just is. Like, that's possible, especially in photography. When it comes to videos, that's a little bit more nuanced, right? And I do understand that. So it depends on what it is that you're trying to do. But if you're talking about photography itself, man, even DSLRs right now that used to be like top of their game, you can get 20 frames a second with a DSLR, and there's still something nice about the mechanical, you know, machines working in there and hearing that flap away. So okay, I'm not sure how you say this. I see SCZZ, and I said that correct. So that's SZCZ Leon. So I'm just gonna call you Leon. Say, hey, what's your run and gun setup? I would have to say that there's two of them. Let me give you a quick shot of the first one, which is what you're seeing right now as the webcam. So this is my Nikon ZFC, and I have it set up with my Rig Junkie camera kit that allows me to completely customize it, rig it exactly how I want it. And it's been so good with this 4-inch screen that I actually haven't been using an external monitor with it. I've just been connecting this handle that I built for it. It goes back to my overhead. This Rig Junkie handle that I built for the side of it, and I connect it right here on the side. Let me go back to that image. Then that's it. I hold it like where the natural handle plus this handle is perfectly balanced, ultra lightweight, and I have my KNF mini V-mount battery connected to the back, and I just switch whichever lens that I want to use. If I need a zoom lens, I'll probably grab one of my Sonys. The cool part is that it has dual native ISO 800 and 6400. And I gotta tell you guys, 6400 is very, very bright in dark areas. I used the 6400 ISO the other day when I was hanging out at Peter Gregg's house. And I took the camera out ISO 6400 at the H.265, and I gotta tell you guys, it looked like daytime outside, and it was just moonlight. Just moonlight, the people's porch lights hanging out, and it looked like daytime at 6400 with this 35 millimeter lens, right? And I think I didn't even have it wide open. I think I was at f2.8. So f2.8, 6400 ISO, this lens nighttime looks like daytime. Craziness. So that's what I said. A lot of these cameras are super capable, and a lot of cameras are jumping onto this train with like the dual native ISOs, and they just keep cranking it up, right? Obviously the FX3 is the 128, right? The 12,800. That's an amazing second native base ISO, which means like you'd have to rock something at an f4, f5.6 just to bring down the exposure. If not, you're walking around with NDs just because it reaches that second native ISO at such a high pitch, right? At such a high sensitivity. So it's almost like seeing or recording in the dark. It's just amazing. And when you got that clean image that you can then push and pull in post-production, is why the FX3 is so sought after even till today. Like it's selling for more now than it did when it initially came out. Right? It was like 38 and now it's over 4,000. Now you can say tariffs or whatever, but Sony is doing whatever. And the crazy thing is that people are using it and they're buying it. They swapped it out. They said they got a new LCD, so now it's the FX3A. People still buying it like hotcakes. They can't even keep them on the shelves. So that is one of my setups. And just to give you an overview, Mr. Leon, this is the Rig Junkie kit for my FX30. So I have these for a variety of different cameras. This is the one for the FX30. I have it for the Nikon Z30 as well, but that one requires this Iceman fan, but I designed it to be part of it because that camera will not stay cool without it. But once you have this connected, then you can basically rest assured that that camera is just gonna last, like it's not gonna overheat. So you can put it in the worst conditions and it'll be working fine. So this is for my FX30, which is another one that I rig out like that. And I would say those are gonna be majority my two running gun setups, right? My FX30 and the Nikon ZR. Right now I'm using more the Nikon ZR because honestly, the screen, like not having to carry an external like port keys monitor in addition to the camera setup is cool, which is why I also love my FX30 setup, because I don't know if you were here when I mentioned it before, but I actually use my iPhone 11 Pro to connect it as a monitor because it's such a great actual screen. And being able to use the Sony monitor and control app, I'm able to rack focus, change apertures, start and stop record, and basically have a full-on remote control wirelessly through my phone. And I decided, you know what, it works so well, I'm gonna throw it on top, and with a simple like newer magnet setup. Actually, you know what, so I connect this to my rig, then I connect my phone to that, and then that becomes my camera monitor for my Sony FX series. That's how it is. Super simple. And that's the whole thing. I got a newer iPhone, which is my day-to-day, my everyday, my EDC, my everyday carry phone. So my older iPhone 11 Pro that still has an amazing screen, still does everything, and has an amazing battery, right? Because that's another thing. You don't have to carry the other types of batteries. Which ones are they? I don't know where I put it, but the NP 900 style batteries from Sony. Those are the ones that I usually have for like the back of the monitors, like the one that I said, the port keys. The iPhone has a, like a 8-hour battery life built in. And very easily I can just connect a USB-C to iPhone and power it up right on my camera rig very easily from the V-mount batteries. So that's how I have my like kit set up. The FX30 works amazing. And once again, like I mentioned, because the FX30 and the Sony cameras have such good autofocus, I actually took my what's it called, my follow focus, and I put it on the zoom ring of my zoom lens, so that I was using the follow focus handle to actually control like as a power zoom, right, on my Tamron lens, because I was using the Tamron 17 to, what is it? 17 to something. Is the 17 to 70 f2.8, the lens that I just grabbed up there. And yeah, so that gives me an equivalent of, I believe, 28 to 105, something within that range. And I was using the follow focus as a zoom, and that was part of my kit as well. So just thinking outside the box, because like I said, I didn't need to follow focus with that lens because Sony's autofocus is that good. And like I said, the camera itself also has touch tracking. So if I wanted to track anybody's face or any item, I can simply just touch the screen on my iPhone, and that conveys that information to the camera, and the camera starts tracking whatever I touched on the iPhone. So it's an ideal monitor, because no monitor is going to give you that type of control with your Sony cameras besides the monitor and control app for your iPhone or Android. I think it's for Android. But yeah, those are my setups. All right. I mean lenses. Okay. So yeah, as far as lenses, I would say the Tamron, when it comes to zooms, when it comes to primes, I use the 35-1.4, my 55 millimeter f1.8. That's the Zeiss. But then I absolutely love using, believe it or not, my 24-70 full frame Zeiss f4. And like I said, I throw that on the Nikon ZR and pump that ISO to 6400 where it's native. And the f4, man, is giving me like the bokeh for days, bro, because it's just got all the light that it needs. It's just, it works great. And it has image stabilization, so steady handheld shots. Let me see if I can say this right. Almir Dambrowski. Almir Dambrowski, 9015. I think I got that right. So, Broski, what do you think about the 35 or the 50 f1.8 Z? I haven't tried them out. I tried both of the kit lenses, the f1.4s, and like I said, I'm just in love with it. You know what? Let me go back to it to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let me go back to producer mode. Okay, so this is the Nikon ZR with the 35 millimeter. And let me see if I could really illustrate. Let it focus. Look at how close I'm focusing. So, okay. It lost focus. Let's see how close. Okay, so right there it's in focus, right? Just right there. And with that being said, I'm going to try to hold my hand in the same position so you can see how close it is to the camera. Okay. Camera's right there. Like I'm on the lens. Come here and that's in focus. So we're going to try to Gordon Lang it, right? Still in focus, I believe. It's crazy. Like, once again, I'm gonna hit the button. You see how close the camera? So close focusing on this camera or this lens is amazing. I haven't tested the f1.8, but I think I'm pretty good on Nikon Z lenses. I think they're doing a really good job with what they're producing right now. I see that one. There we go. King Kruk is in the house. He says, using my Nikon Z9 with the 58f 0.95, great use at night. Oh man, yeah, those are like those, what do they call it, those dream lenses, the 0.95s. Are you able to get focus wide open? Like, be honest, because unless that thing's auto-focusing, and it will have to be really good autofocus, 0.95 is just, I think it'll be great for like statues, things that, like, I don't know. I think the human jitter is always going to have some level of jitteriness. I have the 35 f1.4 lens on the A7 IV body. That's a great setup as well. If the 1.4, that's the G lens. Let me know if that's the G or the GM. I think that's the G. If I remember, the GM is the 1.2s, but I could be wrong. So, but still, the A7 IV, that's a great body, and like I said, that one is substantially more up to date than the A7 III. I think we were mentioning that one before, right? Like the Nikon Z6 II versus the A7 III, and between those two, like just saying the A7 IV and the A7 III, leagues apart on everything. On everything when it comes to battery life, when it comes to shots per like charge, 4K, no time limits. It's a more complete all-around camera. The A7 IV is a really, really good camera. Oh, if say it ain't so, Mr. Rob. Everybody's name changed, but everyone, this is Rob. If you're not aware, he is one of the OJs, the original junkies. Left a comment for you above, buddy. Cheers. Thank you very much, man. So good to see you, man. Happy New Year. It's been a while. Is the thumb in the back corner behind the 3D printer? Good guess, Paul, but no, it's not there. I know exactly where that one's at, so. Okay, he responded, Mr. Leon. Says, that's some solid advice. You're very knowledgeable. Must have took you a long time to reach this point. I thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, and not only a long time, but like just a lot of testing. I'm like nerdy. I don't know if you got to see when I had pulled up the images. Like I take images of my own cameras just to test out cameras. I take images of the things that I know that I have around me all the time, and it's just because like I'm shooting for myself. So before, when I was doing iPhone repairs on the road, I used to always have a camera like on my lap while I was driving, and while I was driving I was always snapping. And for, I think it was the year 2022 or it was 2021, I took like 50,000 images from my car. Were they all good? Absolutely not. But the more you shoot, the more you learn. So you're able to use it. And I've always been like brand agnostic. So I love to dabble with a variety of different cameras. So I do get nerdy with it. And I'm one of the fortunate ones that know how some of this stuff works on the inside by like I said, I used to repair small electronics, iPhones. I've been repairing like VCRs and Walkmans and everything that you can name that carries electricity and a current since basically my entire life. So that's the nerdy side of me that has allowed me to understand the components of these cameras just a little bit more, which then re-sparked my like curiosity and love for cameras themselves. And that's why I called myself Mr. Camera Junkie, because I absolutely, like I said, this is week 275. So getting ahead of myself, but that's 275 consecutive weeks of me ranting and raving about cameras and all of these things. So I can't wait for the FX3 because of certain rumors that are going around there. They're talking about a 16 megapixel sensor, something like that. The other rumors were 24 megapixels, which I wouldn't be surprised if they go to 24. It's doubled up from the 12 that the FX3 has right now. But it says that it's gonna be even better in low light, which is like, that's already night vision, bro. Like it's already night vision. So, but it's amazing, exciting things to come, because I love the fact that, you know, when one brand comes out with another technology, the next brand, like maybe it's the one that you feel left out at the moment, hey, just give it 6 months, because they're gonna be the next one to leapfrog with the new form of technology. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed for not OpenGate. Everyone's clamoring OpenGate, and if they provide it, great. I'm not taking anything away from it, but I have my vote into the camp of either, you know, a VND, a virtual ND filter built in like the FX6 series. And if not, then I would prefer global shutter over OpenGate. And that's just my preferences, right? I would say let's get global shutter. Let's get crispy images on every frame that everyone looks like it could be a photo. There's no warping, there's no jello effect, none of that stuff. And that's gonna make the biggest difference, at least I think, when it comes to the image quality, from it looking way more cinematic than what we're accustomed to. I had said the same thing when, I said, like, cameras, the biggest difference you're gonna notice right now, and that was years ago, was moving from 8-bit to 10-bit. And now pretty much everyone's rocking 10-bit. So the next evolution that I would like to see would be like a global shutter 10-bit. Or, hey, Nikon just shooting it out there, that 12-bit raw. If it has to be a chunky codec, but if we can get some type of global shutter, and I'm not saying maybe this camera will never be capable of that. I understand, because that hardware is already built. But look out for the next one, man. Let's get on it. And we know you can do it with red, so that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you. I appreciate that, David. I worked hard on it. I even got the fairy lights in there. Those fairy lights were a lot bigger than what I thought. I thought, like, oh, I'll be able to wrap it around once or twice. And I did that, and I had like more than half to go. And I'm like, let's wrap it again. But I think I did an okay job there with the fairy lights, and it really adds to the anamorphic bokeh. So, yeah, and that's where we're at. Another 2-hour live stream? Absolutely, man. Thanks for reminding me, Nano. Long shot, but I think it actually shadows. But thumbs up on the board with your game controllers. Okay, so he's taking a long shot on what he's asking for. It says long shot, but I think it actually shadows. But thumbs up on the board with your game controllers. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the back shot over here, and I'm gonna take a look at it here. I'm gonna give you the full view, and unfortunately, no, Paul, that is not where the thumbs up is located this week, or has been there for a couple of weeks, might I add. So, okay, so it looks like I was able to hide this little one, the obs bot, fairly well. And I also did a pretty good job with the thumbs up and the film container. So that's where we're at. Boom. Would you call yourself an enthusiast or a professional? I would call myself both, because if the metric of being a professional is getting paid, then that's something that I've been doing for years, both for my videography, photography, and things like that. Enthusiasm, that's just how much you love the game, and I'm very enthusiastic with the things that I do. I consider myself a dopamine hunter, so I'm always looking for the next thing that's going to spark that level of curiosity. And with me, it comes from everything from cameras to 3D printing, which I have my 3D printers in the back, and the Venn diagram of those things meshing together, because there's plenty of items that I've already created for 3D, or better said, a bunch of items that I've already designed and created for cameras with 3D printing. So I would definitely tell you to check out like any one of my other social medias, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. I actually did a series just last month of 30 3D prints in 30 days, and they're all available for download for free if you have your own 3D printer, so that you can just print out the designs and use them yourself. All available at my website, mrcamerajunkie.com, which is my fourth wall site, where you can find my merch. You can support me directly, but that's where you could also find all of my STL files that you can use on your 3D printer. So that's all of the things that I do, and I do it all very enthusiastically. So that's where I would consider myself both, right? And like Doc Rock says, real pimps choose both. There we go. So I can nail focus at 0.95, but it's taken a lot of practice. I do stop them down if I get a lot of movement. You have to, but that's the cool part, right? Like I have f1.4 lenses, like the one that we're using right here, and I'm using it at f4. Like I don't have a problem stopping lenses down, because exposure is the main thing. You need to make sure that your colors and your brights and your whites and your blacks and everything, your exposure is the best that you can get with the camera that you have. And that's gonna tell a lot more about your image overall than, you know, like being able to blow everything out with bokeh. Because there's some people who say like, I want to shoot it wide open, but then to compensate for that, they actually start cranking up their shutter speed, and then they don't look natural on video, and it's looks choppy. It's fine for photography because you're literally trying to freeze time in a photograph, so you want everything tack sharp. So cranking up the shutter is ideal for that, but not so much for video. And that's the differences there. So I will have a how it's made style of warehouse shot. I'm thinking of investing in a lens. I really want the 35 to 150 Tamron lens, but people say go with the 24 to 70 Sigma 2.8. The Sigma is really good. I love Sigma lenses. I've been using for the APS-C and the Sony, the f1.4 16 millimeter for years. But if I can nudge you one way or another, Tamron is actually partly owned by Sony. And for photography side, right, if that's what you're looking into, I would probably lean you more towards the Tamron because of the versatility of the lens. You're going to get a lot more reach. And second, it's kind of been known in the photography world that they call these the Baby G series, the Baby G Masters, because the sharpness and the quality that you're getting from these Tamron lenses for the Sony cameras, those f2.8s for the zooms, like they actually work very, very well. They're very sharp, which is why I had even mentioned that I'm using the 17 to 70, which gives me a 35 to 105 equivalent on the FX30 as my run and gun setup. And with my Rig Junkie setups using the mini V-mount batteries, I used one battery basically all day and it powered my entire kit. So, and guess what? Like I said, if you have a 3D printer, you could also find that on MrCameraJunkie.com. All right, so now to close things off, wasn't able to get a snap decisions, even though I know I can ask chat to pull something up for me real quick. I'm not going to, just because of the time that we have left. So trying to keep this under 2 hours for today, we're going to go straight into Cities God, channels that I think you should go and watch. And this week, let me close this window just to make sure it doesn't mess anything up. Let's see, we got it right. Yes, we got it right. So this week's Cities God, channels that I think you should go and watch, is none other than Geeky Nerdy Techie. Now, I can't tell you, or better said, I can't remember if I've had him on the Cities God portion before, but this is my friend Shane. Excuse me. Let me start that over again. This is my friend Shane, and I would definitely tell you to check out his channel. Obviously, he's a Lumix shooter, micro four thirds, but he also shoots the full frame and even the medium. He started getting into the anamorphic stuff because they sent him out some anamorphic autofocus lenses from Suray. So that's exciting because I actually have an anamorphic app. So I need to get in contact with Shane and send him a link so that he can test out my app with that lens. But I digress. But as you can see, he's a camera junkie. He's going to be messing around with a variety of different cameras and lenses. And as my friend, I highly recommend you go check out his channel. Now, he's from down under. He's in the Australian outback. So he's got the accent, which makes it, to me, I guess, a little bit more pleasing and easy on the ear when I'm getting information about this new camera gear. So that's this week's Cities God, channels that I think you should go and watch. That's my friend Shane, Mr. Geeky Nerdy Techie. And yeah, we've been hanging out for a while. Met him in the Peter Gregg live streams, and like I said, he's a co-creator that we've been talking for a while now, so I need to send him that information just the same. And we did it, guys. Bam, we come over here, we go over there, that flies up, and this is what I tell you, that we nailed it. Oh, I lost my sound effects. Let me get them back again. There we go. We completed yet another episode, and this is actually episode 275 of the Camera Junkie live stream. And as always, I thank you for hanging out, taking the time. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me hanging out Saturday night. So if it was your first time, make sure that you like, subscribe, you lock it in, and set yourself a reminder. Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can come here and hang out with me and the rest of the Camera Junkie crew, because we're going to be doing it all over again next Saturday for episode 276 as we keep marching on to infinity and beyond. Let me see what you guys. Oh, came in clutch. Says film canister next to the second camera, bottom row, next to the iPhone. Yo, Paul, I gotta give it up to you. It's been there for weeks, bro. I was like, I nailed that spot. But no, he got it. So for those of you who are new, I have 3 secret items that I hide within my set every single week, and we have that game occurring and running for months now. I still need to do the tallies. That's on me, guys. But Paul found the film canister and exactly where he said it. So if we go back to his comments, it says film canister, second camera on the bottom row over by the iPhone. So if we look at my right, we go to the iPhone, which is right here, and we go second camera, which is closer to me, 1 camera, 2, and that little marker right there, that's the film canister. And he got it. Last second coming in clutch, Paul. Paul's been getting one a week, and then sometimes he's even done the hat trick where he finds all 3 items. Like, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, he nailed all of them, like, basically from the initial shot. So I need to get better on it, but that one was a great set of points right there, because that one's been up there for a minute. So good one, Paul. Hey, I appreciate you. And hopefully that is your name, Leon, right? Because that's how I'm going to call you. If not, correct me now or forever hold your peace, because I'm going to be locking it in. Thank you very much. Yes. You're getting the congratulations. Oh, check that out. I kept thinking it wasn't it for weeks, but I decided to take a chance. Hey, man, there's not, like, the worst thing it could be is like, no, that wasn't it, right? That's it. We gotta stop eliminating the fear of the no. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But we've reached the end of the live stream, and guys, like I said, as always, thank you for coming out and hanging out with me. You make this my favorite place to be, which is why I will never be any other place but right here every single Saturday night. And you guys really do help me out. For those of you in the know as well, like Gretchen, I just spent my early afternoon dropping off my father back to the hospital, and it's been a ping pong game back and forth. But I'm his caretaker, as the same that I am for my special needs son, and I do that all here. So that's what I do, and that's my mission. But like I said, you guys make this my favorite place to be, and no matter how tough life gets for me, I always look forward to my Camera Junkie live streams every single week, and I can't thank you enough. So guys, as always, take care of yourselves and each other, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces. Yes, you, all of your smiling faces right here while we do it all over again on the Camera Junkie live stream. So take care of yourselves and each other, and until then, talk to you.